After running tons of Gemini Cup room tests and losing to Umas with only 1,000 stamina or not even max stamina, it makes me question how much stamina is needed to actually run this race. Now, this is a simulated run based on my real actual Uma. For simplicity's sake, we'll just let speed and the stamina accordingly with regards to the actual baseline in a lot of guides. With that aside, so this is a simulated run for my gold chip. As you can see here, at the end of the race here, we have about 191 HP remaining. What happens if I remove one gold stamina recovery, or let's say gold stamina recovery didn't proc? Let's run the simulator again. As we can see here actually, at the end of the race, it only had minus 2 HP remaining, meaning that only 1 second debuff for my gold chip speed. Even if you only have one gold recovery and it procs with 1,100 stamina, it really doesn't affect the whole part of the race. And my gold chip will still run at the maximum speed she can. This is why the misconception about you needing 2 gold stamina heal and 1,200 stamina is fake actually, because even with 1,100 stamina and with only 1 gold recovery, my gold chip could still run this race course until the very end. If we simulate this with 900 stamina and 2 gold recovery skill, we can see here that she still has HP remaining on the end of the race. So what's the conclusion of this is that even with 900 stamina, if you actually proc both of your gold recovery skill, then your horse will still run until the end. Now, I hope you understand why people saying that you need 1,200 stamina and 2 gold recovery, this is a really big misconception that you need to know. Now, of course, this also depends on how many guts you have and how many speed, because this also contributes toward how many stamina you consume at the last part of the race. Generally, this is the main point I want to give across to you guys, is that you actually don't need 1,200 stamina and 2 gold recovery skill to actually run this race. I want to also simulate when rushing happens in the race, because that's what could be the run killer for you. Now, I probably forgot to mention this, but if we take a look at the document here, if Uma were to enter the rush state, she would do so in random section between 2 or 9. What this means is that a rushing state could only happen in the middle part section of the race. If we take a look here, let's just make it simple. So I'm gonna assume that the rush state appears somewhere along this area, because the stamina consumption for this part is technically the same. Let's say the rush state occurs here, around 78 seconds, with my gold chip having 3,029 stamina left. 8 seconds, 300 HP left. Let's fast forward 1 second to see how many HP was consumed. I can't really get to the exact 79 seconds, but the closest I can get is this. So let's go with this. 79 seconds, 0.7 second with 3008 HP remaining. So we consume about 21 HP. Let's say we consume 21 HP, and being in the rush state means that you consume 1.6 or 60% stamina more. So let's pull up the calculator for this. So 21 times 1.6, 33.6, or that's about 12.6 HP consumed more per second. Let's say that the worst event occurred and your Uma is rushed for 12 seconds, which is the maximum time proc for this. So let's say 12.6 times 12 seconds here. It's 151.2 HP for 12 seconds of rush. If a rush state happens to your Uma, the max HP consumed is 151 HP more. Let's check how many stamina left. If we actually have 1,100 stamina and 2 gold recovery skill. Here, if I check, my gold chip actually has 191 HP remaining at the end of the race. If we have 100 HP remaining, and we got hit with the rush, we still have around 40 HP remaining. What this means is that my gold chip will not die, even if rush procs. But what happens if I only run 1 gold recovery skill? Then of course she dies. So this is where all the RNG comes in. But generally, to be really safe, you want around 1,100 stamina. So I've run a couple of tests again, and I currently put the stamina as 1,055. And if we see here at the end of the race, we have 150 HP remaining. So I believe upper minimum limit of the stamina that you need is 155 stamina, 2 gold recovery, assuming you get hit with a rush debuff at max duration. Now that we got the rush debuff out of the way, I want to talk about the other two mechanics, which is actually increasing your stamina. The first one is kind of unrealistic because I don't think anyone will run the frontrunner Haru Urara's thought to actually mess up with the pace. So we can kind of just ignore this pace down strategy. But what you need to know is that if this happens, then basically it lowers the stamina consumption for all of the Umas in the race, and technically your Uma will be safe even if you have only 1k stamina with like 2 recovery skills. The last part is a bit RNG, but it's the downhill acceleration mode, which actually reduce your stamina consumption when you're running towards the downhill part of the map. So what this means is that if this downhill acceleration mode proc, your stamina consumption is lowered by 60%, meaning that when this procs on your run, it actually gives you more HP until the end of the race. Now, of course, this downhill acceleration proc mode is unreliable. It is something to keep in mind about HP, stamina consumption, and all the RNGs that could actually help with your run. Now let's prove this theory in test. This is the stamina calculator Excel sheet. So if you assume we're running these stats, the stamina needed to run the long Kyoto turf is 1530 stamina. What happens if we run 2 gold recovery skill? The total stamina needed is only 980. It's already enough to run with 2 gold stamina recovery with 1k stamina. Let's assume the worst scenario that we get rushed. So if we got rushed, the stamina needed is only 1050, which seems to be accurate with our emulator simulations. Let's assume the worst case scenario as well. We're getting rushed and we also have 2 debuffers on the enemy. Now I'm assuming that we only get by 2 debuff, which is 2% with subdued and closer. So each skill is 1%, and if we take away 2% from this, let's make this as 1 gold recovery and 3.5% as I count 2% for both debuff skill proccing. We need only 1150 stamina overall. We don't need 1200 stamina, even with 2 debuffs and being rushed as well. So what happens if we're not rushed? Then only 1072 stamina is enough. This is like the borderline stamina. The only time you probably will need 1200 stamina is if you're a Giga Whale and you have all MLB card decks, and we're assuming that you have 1200 speed, meaning that you hit like all the actual required stats. Then if we assume you're debuffed and you assume you're rushed, you need 1902 stamina. This is where you actually want 1200 stamina. But this scenario is really unrealistic for you guys F2P out there, as this kind of stat line is borderline impossible to get unless you're a whale and a tryhard on top of that. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Thank you for watching.